Washington's top envoy on North Korea and his South Korean counterpart meeting in Seoul seem to have found a way for a ceremony to go ahead to break ground on an inter-Korean railway project. So concerns about sanctions in that respect were apparently unfounded. And the U.S. side says it's ready to move ahead on talks with North Korea on preparing for a second summit. Lee Ji-won has more.
Washington Special Representative for North Korea says the U.S. is eager to make progress in its talks with the North, which would likely include preparations for a second summit between their leaders.
We are eager to move to the next stage of discussions with our North Korean partners. We expect in the course of those discussions we will be able to talk about some of the details around President Trump's upcoming summit with Chairman Kim. We do not have a date or a location yet to announce, but we will be working with the DPRK in order to arrive at an agreeable outcome in that regard.
Biegun was speaking at a quick press briefing Friday afternoon after he and his South Korean counterpart Lee Do-hoon held the second meeting of their working group. With the North Koreans supposedly silent right now in their negotiations with the U.S., Biegun added that in the working group meeting, he had a chance to present some ideas on how the U.S. would like to move ahead in talks with the North, but he didn't elaborate. These discussions, Biegun said, included the humanitarian assistance the U.S. is willing to consider giving to the North. When he arrived in Seoul on Wednesday, Biegun announced that the U.S. will review its policies on giving the North humanitarian assistance and consider easing the restrictions on Americans traveling to the regime. But when asked about the $8 million worth of humanitarian aid the South Korean government previously allocated for the North, Biegun said that the U.S. is only beginning its review of humanitarian aid and that it will work with the South to coordinate their activities in that regard. Biegun also emphasized that Washington's policy review does not mean an alleviation in the sanctions on North Korea. Specifically, he said humanitarian assistance is not subject to the UN sanctions nor to unilateral sanctions. At the working group meeting, Lee said the two sides found a way for the two Koreas to go ahead with the ceremony they plan to hold next week to break ground on work to connect their railways and roads. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.